Council, are we ready?
Good afternoon, Madam Chairperson. We are ready to proceed. Can you bring the witness in? Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Njai. Welcome back.
Good afternoon, Council. Thank you.
I hope you had a good break.
Yeah, I had a good break.
So I would just like to remind you that you're still under oath. Do you understand that?
Yes, Council.
And the same warnings that I gave you at the beginning of your testimony still apply. You're expected to tell the truth and the whole truth. Do you understand that?
I understood, Council.
And that there are consequences for not being truthful, lying to the Commission or misleading the Commission. Do you understand?
Yes, Council.
Thank you. So prior to the break, we were discussing the incident that occurred at the Mile 2 Central Prison on the night of 6 September 1994. We addressed a number of issues regarding that. We heard the testimony of Mr. Ibrahim Chongan explaining that they were taken individually to the wall and then taken back to another security wing. So they weren't at the wall at the same time, contrary to what you said. We had heard testimony that the detainees were beaten by the orderlies of the council. Your version of it is that the council members are the ones who beat the security detainees, correct?
Correct, Council.
And your actions, based on what you've said, are limited to dragging the detainees outside their cells and taking them to the point where they were tortured by the council members, correct?
Correct, Council.
Do you understand that that act of dragging the detainees and taking them to the place where they were tortured means that you were involved in actions that led to their torture? Do you understand that?
Correct, Council.
And nonetheless, in spite of Mr. Ibrahim Chongan's testimony, you deny that you insulted him, even though that's what he said. Is that correct?
Correct, Council.
Okay. So I would now like to move on to the events of November 11th, 1994. Do you recall what happened on the 10th of November, 1994?
On the 10th of November. Yes, Council.
Can you tell us what happened?
The 10th of November, while at the State House, information started. We had an information that there is movement of soldiers at Yundum Barracks who plan to stage a coup d'etat against the former AFPRC.
When you say we heard information, who's we?
When I say we, I mean this information was just in the air. It was heard by almost a lot of soldiers within the State House. So it was not specific to say this particular individual was the one that I heard it from, but I heard it almost to every soldier, that the soldiers at Yundum are planning to overthrow the AFPRC regime.
So after you heard that, tell us what happened.
When we heard that, at that time, as a private soldier, there was nothing I could do. But then, I think later when the information was heard by the council members, they decided to move to Yundum and meet with these soldiers, or to make a surprise visit to Yundum.
Who decided to go to Yundum?
Sorry, ma?
Who decided to go to Yundum? You
the
said
council members, and these are Sana Sabali, Edward Singate, Yankuba Ture. They decided to move to Yundum to address the situation.
Just a second. What about Sadibu Haidara? Was he part of this group?
Actually, Sadibu Haidara.
Did the council members go alone to Yundum?
No council. They went with their orderlies.
Can you give us the names?
I was one of them, the orderlies of Sana Sabali, JCB Mendy, Zakaria Dabo, with their drivers, Dembo Jiba, Alkali Jallo, and Lamin Drami. The orderlies to Sadibu were Lamarana Bari, Suso, I forgot the first name, Suso.
You told us before that Al-Husseini sounded correct.
Exactly.
Al-Husseini Suso.
Al-Husseini Suso. There was one Jassy, I can't remember the first name, who was an orderly to Sadibu too. Yes. And if I may forget some of their names, anyway, you can always help me.
So this is about what happened on the 10th of November when the council members and the orderlies decided to go to Yundum Barracks, correct?
Correct.
Can you tell us around what time they went to Yundum Barracks?
This was in the afternoon, around after 2 to 3.
Tell us what happened when they arrived at Yundum Barracks.
When they arrived at Yundum, they then moved to the company lines. I remember upon entering the barracks, they went to the anteroom, then officers' anteroom, then from there to the company line where Echo Company, Bravo Company, like Bravo Company, company line. After Echo Company, Echo Delta, they are adjacent. Their company lines are adjacent. Then the meeting took place with the troops, with the soldiers, took place at Bravo Company, company line. That is down towards the primary school end, Yundum Primary School end. Then soldiers were gathered there.
Were they mainly officers or officers and the men? Or was it only the men?
Only the men. Only the men. Only the men. At where I am talking about, the company line, this was only the men.
Tell us what happened.
Then, when they met them there, Sana Sabali told them that we heard of what you are on, so it's better you desist from it. Otherwise, if anybody tried to do anything otherwise, whatever comes your way, that's it. It went to a point where I remember Edward Singate also buttressing on the same statement which Sana Sabali have made, saying that we are soldiers and there is no doubt that anybody who plans to do anything, we will cross you. And then, as he was talking to them as he was addressing the soldiers. Then he took out his pistol by the holster, the pistol holster, and then fire up in the air. He gave 2 shots, I remember, to say, he said, you see, this is my rifle, or this is my weapon. So anybody who wants to do anything, this is what will happen. He fired 2 shots in the air. So they spoke to the men after some time. Then we left back to Banjul.
Did anyone speak from the men? Any of the men, did they speak at that meeting?
Actually, I could not remember who spoke at that time, but I remember Sana and Edward talking to the men, where Edwards, gave 2 shots in the air. Yes, but I could not remember actually from the men who spoke.
And by Sana and Edward, you're referring to Sana Sabali and Edward Sinate?
Yes, Council, Sana Sabali.
You said they told them, if any of you want to do anything. Did they explain what they meant by that?
They said they heard of soldiers being mobilized, or soldiers mobilizing to wanting to overthrow, but they are warning them that anybody who tried it and caught, you will pay the highest price.
So after Edward Sinyate fired 2 shots in the air, what happened after that?
After that, I remember they went back. They went back to their vehicles. We followed them, and then back to Banjul.
Apart from Yundum Barracks, did you go anywhere else before you went back to Banjul?
At that time, I could not remember actually, but I remember from Yundum Barracks we went back to Banjul.
So you did not go to Fajara Barracks, as far as you're aware?
As far as I can remember, no, Council.
What happened when you arrived in Banjul?
Yeah, when we went back to Banjul, the council members went up to meet with the former President, Yahya Jammeh. I didn't go there. I didn't go to the office. Normally, if Sana Sabali has a close protection, if he's going to see Yahya Jammeh, I only stop at the VIP lawn. I don't normally go inside his office. I wait for him at the VIP lawn until when he comes out. Then I join him. Then we go back to the office. So by that day, I didn't join them, so I don't know what they discussed. But they went back to give feedbacks to Yahya Jammeh with regards to the information that they gave the soldiers.
What happened after that?
Sorry, ma.
What happened after that?
Mm-hmm. After, when that is done, then normal, the normal working procedure continues. Like we continue on our normal work until closing time. Then we went home.
Around what time did you go home?
Normal closing after 4. Usually we do close after 4 at that time.
And when you say, then we went home, where did you go to?
We went to the former Vice President's residence in Fajara.
What happened there?
While we were there, after closing, virtually we all changed to mufti, to civil clothes, have our lunch. We were there as normal, like somebody who have close to work. You have nothing to do once your boss is in. And we were there on our normal activities, daily activities, whilst we close, until at night. This was around after 9 to 10. while I was lying down in my house, Sana Sabali came and forcefully opened the door of my house, or our house, because we were 3 in number living in that house.
In his residence, in Sana Sabali's residence, right?
Exactly, Council.
Okay. Continue.
Whilst I was lying, wearing short trouser with my singlet, then Sana Sabali forcefully opened the door of our room to say, dress up, and then bang back the door. Then automatically I stood up and dressed up. Then came out at the waiting area where we usually wait for him when we are done prior to his coming out to enter the vehicle.
When you say you dressed up, what were you wearing?
We were dressed in military camouflage. Then it was all of us. I mean, me, Jesse B. Mendy, Zakaria Dabo, all the drivers, Dembo Jiba, Lamin Drame, and Alkali Jallo. You know, we all dressed up and went out to the waiting area and then waited.
Was B. Njai part of your group?
Njai, actually. Yes, Council.
You mentioned Mohammed Sambu. Was he part of your group that night?
For Mohammed, I'm not very much sure. I will not confirm because Mohammed came to join us later. But in this particular incident, I'm not very sure whether he was there because he joined us later.
You mentioned an Albert Gomez earlier. Was did he join you that night?
The late Albert, yes, Council. He was with us.
Okay. Tell us what happened next.
Then while we were waiting at the waiting area, where we usually wait for him when we dress up, waiting for Sana Sabali to come out from his house, then he came out again and told us whether, he asked us whether we've loaded the weapons and the ammunition. We told him no, sir, because you know, telling someone to dress up when you don't actually tell him dressing up for what, you know, all what we understood from what he said is to dress up, and that is what we actually did. We dressed up and went out to wait for him. Like maybe for me, I thought he was going to go out that night. Maybe maybe he was going to go out. So all what he said, all the instructions that he passed was that what we did. That is, we dress up. So when we dress up, whilst we were waiting for him at the waiting area, then he came out again and asked us whether we've loaded the weapons and the ammunition. We told him no, sir. He said, go and load them. And that's the time we went back to the stores where the rifles or the weapons and the ammunition used to be kept. Then we took out.
Where was that? Where were the weapons and ammunition kept?
Sorry, Council.
Where were the weapons and ammunition kept?
Yeah. These weapons, the store was opposite our house. Store was directly opposite our house.
You're referring to the weapons that were kept at Vice Chairman Sana Sabali's residence?
Yes, yes, Council.
Can you tell us what type of weapons you're referring to?
At that time, we were using the AK-47, but virtually, like the AK-47, we were the one using it. These were personal rifles that we use, but the ones that were kept in the stores were the PKMS, these are support weapons, and the AAG, anti-aircraft machine guns.
So initially you told us that the AK-47 you had a grenade launcher. Are these the same AK-47s that you're referring to?
These are personal weapons. These are weapons that we don't normally keep them in the stores. We keep them in our house. So I would call it those were not part of the weapons that we were supposed to load, because we already have them. But the ones that we were supposed to, the ones that he asked us to load were the support weapons, mainly the support weapons and their box of ammunition. These are the PKMS and the AAG, anti-aircraft machine gun.
PKMS?
PKMS,
What does that
Pulemyot Kalashnikov.
Were these heavy weapons?
They are support weapons.
Support weapons? Do you recall how many of these weapons that you loaded?
No, Council.
So you loaded these heavy support weapons onto where exactly? What kind of vehicle?
Into the vehicles, in the Sana Sabali's vehicles. And part of them, not all, but some of them were also, some of them were loaded in the other vehicles.
So how many vehicles did you have in total?
It was Sana's official vehicle.
What type of vehicle was that?
This was a Nissan Patrol. You have the sweeper. The sweeper was a Pajero as the lead car. Then you have Sana's vehicle immediately after the sweeper. Then you have the rear guard. These are they were three.
So you got the weapons, loaded them onto the vehicle. What happened next?
Then when we loaded them, he came out. I remember that day I was the one on duty. I was with him in the lead vehicle. So I opened the door, the car door for him. He salute, and he entered. I bang, enter. Then we left.
Where did you go?
As soon as we almost about to, as soon as we leave his gate, his compound gate, we had to stop. Then Sadi Buhaira was living just opposite Sana's residence at the hilly area. Right now, if you know the vice president's residence, just immediately after the vice president's residence, the left side of it, that hilly area, is where Sadibu was living. So we had to stop there and then waiting for Sadibu to come. Then when he was told that we are ready by his orderlies, then he came and then we went. We went to Banjul.
So very quickly, who was with Sadibu Haidara's group?
Ma?
Who did he go with? Who were the members of his entourage, Sadibu Haidara, that night?
Who did he went with?
Yeah.
His orderlies.
The names, please. What were the names?
Lamarana Bari was one of them. Suso Alfuseni, Jasi, and there was one Sonko, Omar Sonko. I forgot to mention his name because this is a long time. Sometimes you tend to forget some of these people, but when their names have been mentioned, you can fully remember.
Do you remember Omar Sonko's rank at the time? His rank.
His friend?
At the time.
His friend? No, no, Kansu.
So how many vehicles did Sadibu Haidara and his entourage have? How many vehicles?
If I didn't forget, I think Sadibu joined Sana Sabali. If I didn't forget. Not very much sure, but it's like Sana joined Sana. Sadibu joined Sana.
So Sana's group had 3 vehicles. Did Sadibu's group bring any additional vehicles?
Yeah, that's what I can't remember right now.
Continue. What happened next?
Then we left to Banjul. I remember when we were going, we passed through Edward's residence. Edward at that time was living somewhere around Pipeline. I was not used to the place much, but I remember him living around MDI Pipeline area, actually. We passed through his residence.
Who lived around Pipeline area?
Edward Singate, Lieutenant Edward Singate.
Well, we've heard testimony that he lived around Cape Point. Is that correct?
No, he came to Cape Point later. But
so at that time, he was still at Pipeline. Okay, continue.
Then we passed through his residence there at around the Pipeline, the general area of Pipeline, actually. I don't know the actual place. So then he joined us. I remember Sana telling him, you know, that, I don't know, yes, we are ready, you know, going to State House. So he joined us, then we went to State House.
Who was Edward Singate with at that time?
Edward was with his brother, Peter Singate.
So Edward Singate, Peter Singate, did anyone else go with them?
Okay, with his orderlies, Mustafa Suso, commonly known as Chulo, Marong.
You told us earlier that his name was Mustafa Toure, commonly known
Mustafa
as Churo.
Toure, yeah. Mustafa Toure. It's not Suso, it's Toure. I mixed with Suso and Toure.
Earlier you mentioned a Marong whose nickname was King Kong. Did he also go with you that night?
Yes, Consul.
Did anyone else go with Edward's group that night?
With all his orderlies, you have Marong, Suso, and the others. I can't remember all of them, but when you mention their names, I will remember.
Do you remember how many other people went with them?
From the time we came from the residence, it's like we collected, we picked Sadibu, and went, picked Singate, and straight to State House.
What I'm trying to figure out is what was the size of Edward Singate's group? You mentioned Edward, you mentioned Peter, you mentioned Mustafa Toure, known as Churo, you mentioned Marong, known as King Kong. I'm trying to figure out how many other people went with you, even though you don't know their names.
Only us. Only us. There was no initially, there was no other foreign body who joined us.
Okay, let's proceed. So you went to Banjul?
Then, upon arriving at Banjul, I opened the door and Sana came down from his car. Then we met Jammeh at the corridor in the open around the administrative area.
So this must have been the State House in Banjul.
Inside the State House, yes.
Yes, continue.
And when we met him, not him alone, but we met him with a lot of soldiers, almost everybody within the State House. All those who were there, who were not in the Sangas, you know, were there with him. It's like they were waiting for us.
Are you referring to state guards or other soldiers? As in state guards?
The done state guard personnel, yes. Yes, Council.
Do you recall about how many of them were gathered?
There were many, a lot of them.
Was it a section, a platoon?
More than a section, more than a platoon. I said this was, you can't count them because, you know, you have a lot of soldiers within the State House at that time. So it was difficult to count, but I know the number was many.
So more than a platoon, are we talking about a company? Was it up to a company? The soldiers, would you approximate there to be enough to form a company?
Approximately.
About a company?
Company.
Okay, continue.
Then when we met, upon arrival, we met Jammeh in the open with soldiers, like they were like expecting us that we are coming. So they were waiting for us. Then when we arrived, Jammeh was shaking hand with Sana, he shook hand with Sana Sabali and all the council members. Then Jammeh said, this guy didn't stop this. they still want to go ahead with this. And you can see him perambulating, going up and down. You can see him feeling very nervous, and then biting his finger, biting his lips, saying that he's going to join the council members to go with them for the operation. So I was right behind Sabali. Sabali was close to Ture. I had Ture telling him,
which Ture?
Yankuba Ture.
You didn't tell us about Yankuba Ture joining your group. Did you go with Yankuba Ture to State House, or did you meet him at State House?
Okay. Yeah, you are right, Council. For Yankuba Ture, I think Yankuba Ture came to meet us at the residence. He came to Fajara. But I can't remember where we branched to go to his residence. No. It's like Yankuba came, he met us there. I oversighted that one.
So your recollection is that Yankuba Ture came to Sanasabali's residence and you all departed together?
That's so.
You told us earlier that Yankuba Ture's entourage was made up of Ensa Mendy, Jali Musa Sow, and Sambaba. Were those three individuals present that night for that operation? All three of them were present that night?
Something like that.
Something like that, meaning yes, they were present?
They were present.
Thank you. So now back to the State House. Yaya Jammeh was downstairs, and from what you've said, he was pacing up and down. He appeared nervous, biting his finger or thumb, I can't remember which one you said. And he said that he wanted to join the group that was going for the operation. Continue telling us about that.
Then I had Yankuba Ture telling him, no, sir, just leave it with us. We will take care of everything. So it's like, if you go with us, meaning that you don't trust us. This is what Yankuba told him. That if you go or if you join us, meaning that you don't trust us, we will make sure everything will be under control. We will take care of everything. This is what Yankuba told Yaya Jammeh.
Did Sana Sabali say anything at that point?
No, as far as I can remember, when I was right behind them, the two of them, Yankuba and Sana, it was Yankuba that I had speaking to Yaya Jammeh.
Did Yaya Jammeh say anything else at that point?
When Yankuba told him this, Yaya Jammeh was not happy. It's like after the council members addressing the issue, it's like these people still want to go ahead with their actions. So I didn't hear him saying anything. But he was insisting that he will go. That one I remember, but he was stopped by Yankuba. When Yankuba assured him that we will take care of everything.
We have heard testimony that at that occasion, Yaya Jammeh said if he goes with the council members, the families of those soldiers will weep. Did you hear that?
I didn't hear that. It's possible he may say it, but was not wherever he goes to, I followed him to hear what he was going to say.
I'm talking about that specific meeting. I'm talking about the incident that you're explaining, the conversation between Yaya Jammeh and the council members.
I didn't hear that.
Did you hear him say anything else?
Yaya Jammeh, I can't remember.
Can you tell us what happened after that?
Then, when Yankuba assured him of the council taking care of the situation, then finally he agreed. He stayed. Then from there, we left to Yundum. While we were going to Yundum, I remember there was one Manlafi Kaur who joined us. Manlafi was in our vehicle.
Who was Manlafi Kaur?
Manlafi Kaur. I know him as Manlafi Kaur. Manlafi was also part of the state guards at that time.
Apart from Manlafi Kaur, do you recall any of the other state guards that went with your group?
Actually, like I said, I was on duty that day, so I was with Sana. That is, I was in Sana's vehicle. So I wouldn't know, actually, when we started moving, I wouldn't know the exact people who were part of the convoy, because we were in front, or you call it, we were the lead vehicle. So all those behind me at the time, I couldn't tell. And it was at night, where I did not have that chance of trying to know who and who was joining us. But as soon as, I remember as soon as we started moving, we were about to go, I opened the door for Sana. He enters, and then I give him the compliment, enter also, then we start moving. So if there was soldiers, part of the state guard who joined us behind, I would not have known because I was in front.
You told us that about a company joined you, your group.
I mean, we met the soldiers that we met standing there with Yaya Jammeh. The number was almost a company, but they were not the number that joined us. These were soldiers who were like expecting that we are coming. Then when we came until Sana and Ture spoke with Yaya, and then until the time was for us to move out, that was the time I entered the car, and then we move out. So the actual number that joined us when we were moving, I wouldn't know.
That's fine. We'll come to that later. Around what time did you leave State House? Do you recall?
Specifically, it was difficult to gauge the timings, like to see, look at your watch and say this was the time. But this was something like after 11 to 12.
And you said you then went to Yundum Barracks.
We went to Yundum from Banjul. We went straight to Yundum. Then, like, immediately after Latikunda, Tabokoto, heading towards the Abuko, the abattoir. Before the abattoir, there is a mosque just on the highway. Right now, if you know that route, the mosque on the right, just on the highway, I think it's the Abuko Mosque, I don't know, just on the highway. Very close to the highway, anyway. That was where we branch, right. And this was suggested to Sana Sabali by Manlafi Kaur, who was in our vehicle. I heard him because he was behind, you know. I heard him telling Sana that, let's take the right, this road will lead us to Yundum. To Yundum, yes. That was the first day for me, I knew that route. So that's how we branch. We didn't take the highway straight to Yundum, but up to the mosque. If you reach at the mosque, there is a secondary road that goes to the right. And then when you follow this road, it takes you up to the former president's orchard, Sadao de Jawara, just around the PTS, the police training school.
Continue. What happened next?
Then, when we arrived there at the PTA, at the area that I'm talking about, just at former president's orchard, around that general area, then the vehicles park on the right. When facing the camp like this, you have the vehicles parked on the right. Then we all came down and made our final preparation to enter the camp. Then when we made our final preparation, or during the course of making our final preparation, Singate suggested to all of us, the council members and all those who were there, ready to move, that he will first take the lead. That is, he will move first. Then when he enter the camp, confirm that the camp is safe, then he will give a warning shot. He said to us that he will give a warning shot. Then the moment we heard of the warning shot, then that is a confirmation that the camp is safe. Then we can come in.
Which Sinyate said this?
Council?
Which Sinyate said
Edward
this?
Singate. Edward Singate.
So what happened next?
Then we waited. We were still on our final preparation while he left. Then we waited for not more than 30 minutes. Then we heard of the gunshots. Then we
How
went.
many gunshots did you hear?
He gave 2 warning shots in the air. These were pistol shots. He gave 1, 2. Then that was what he said, that when I went, if everything is okay, then by knowing it from where you are or where we were is by giving the warning shot. So when we heard of the shot, then automatically we know that, yes, what he said is there. And that's how we went.
So what happened upon your arrival at Yundum Barracks?
And whilst we were coming to Yundum, we went the normal route from Banjulinding N, if you know the camp, the feeder road from Bahamas to Banjulinding. That's the normal route that we took until we were in line with the road that goes straight to Yundum, to the camp. That's where
Bahamas, are you referring to the residence of the soldiers at Yundum Barracks?
Bahamas, yes, Council.
So which part of Yundum Barracks did you enter?
Council?
Which part of Yundum Barracks did you enter?
From Bahamas. The usual road that from Bahamas leads to the back gate of Yundum Barracks. That's the only road there.
So tell us what happened next.
Then we entered through. There was no shooting, or there was no gunshot from anyone, either those that were in or from us who were coming, until we enter. It's like our entry was as simple as that. But then we passed through the signal center. We passed through signal center and then opened the signal. Edward opened the signal room. We met the signaler on duty, or the duty signaler at that time was one BI. The surname is BI. I couldn't remember the first name, but this was
BI. Does the name Ibrahima sound correct to you?
It could be, because I am not used to him.
We heard testimony from Malang Kamara, who was on duty at the signals room in Banjul headquarters.
Yeah, Malang should know him because they were all signalers.
He mentioned Ibrahima.
They knew each other.
Ibrahima BI.
Okay, it could be.
Please continue.
Then, when Edward opened either Edward or Sana Sabali, one of them opened the signal room, then we all enter. Thereby, when we entered, we found this duty signaler sleeping. So Sana Sabali wake him up by tapping at him. Then he wake up and then just saw us surrounding him. So he said, yes, sir. So Sana asked him, what's going on here? He said, nothing, sir. Like somebody sleeping and then you suddenly wake him and then want to ask him questions which he don't know. He was in that state. So he said, no, sir, nothing happens. He said, no, something is happening. He said, not to my knowledge. Then, as he was talking to him, a call came in. A phone call came in. It was a land phone. Then the duty signaler picked the call and was talking to the guy who made the call. But this guy was trying to confirm, is the camp safe? Are the council members in? Like, is there anybody? Then while he was having the phone like this on his ears, Singate was very close to him. He looked at Singate, and then Singate told him this, made his finger like this. Not for him not to say that there's somebody. He said, okay, no sir, everything is okay. He said, everything is okay? The guy, the caller, he said, yes sir. He looked at Singate in the eyes, and they said, yes sir, everything is okay. Then he rang the
So
phone.
you could hear what the caller was saying through the handset, is that what you're...
Was confirming whether there is anybody in the camp.
So what happened
Like the
next?
council members.
What happened next?
Then we came out from we all came out from the signal center, then to the guard room. Then when we entered the guard room, Sana said, who are those? He asked the duty RP, who are those in the cells?
By RP, Regimental Police.
I couldn't remember the actual guy at that time as the duty RP, but I remember Sana asking the RP, who are those in? Open them, open the guard room cell. Then the RP opened, and they all came out to the guard room.
About how many people came out from the guard
There are
room?
many, there are many. It's more than 10.
What happened?
Council?
What happened after?
Then, when that happened, when they all came out, it's like Sana Sabali selected some, I call it, whom he wanted, to be out of it. So he pinpointed some and asked them to dress up. Then they dressed up and went away. Then the rest were there. I remember seeing Abdoulaye Dabo and
Which Abdoulaye Dabo?
Abdoulaye, I think he was one of the witnesses who came here, Abdoulaye J. Dabo, I don't know. But I know him as Abdoulaye Dabo.
What was his rank or role at the time?
Abdoulaye, I was not used to him, but I recognized the face. I came to know him lately, I came to know Abdoulaye actually in 2012 or so.
So you mentioned Abdoulaye J. Dabo. Who else
I
was?
saw Abdoulaye, I saw Mafuji Sonko, because Mafuji, I came to know him because Mafuji was not a member of the Gambia Armed Forces. I came to know him when it was said there in the guard room that Mafuji was one of those who carried the big juju, the horn, like a horn. It was removed from him and then placed on top of the decks, the RP decks. So this was a big horn that it was said that juju was confiscated from Mafuji. They said, that's the guy. That's how I came to know that this is Mafuji. Because I think Mafuji was from the Zandam, so I was not used to him. I recognized him through the juju that was said was taken from him.
So Abdoulaye J. Dabo, Mafuji Sonko.
Mafuji,
Who else?
and these people, these two, I can remember them, but there were many.
Were they amongst the soldiers that Sana had released, or they were still detained?
No. For who?
Mafuji and Abdoulaye J.
No,
Dabo.
they were not released, Council. They were sitting on the floor.
Can you describe what they were wearing at that time?
They were wearing knickers. They were no shirt, no trouser. Because their trousers, you can see them piled there at the corner of the guard room, and their shoes, combat boots, we are all piled up there. So they were, though some of them were wearing camouflage trouser, but no jacket. But some were not wearing anything. They were only wearing the boxer.
So I'm trying to understand how many people were sitting on the floor detained, apart from Mafuji Sonko and Abdoulaye J.
I remember
Dabo.
Mafuji Sonko, because for Mafuji, like I said, I recognized him through the information or through what has been said, that he was the one.
Indeed. But apart from Mafuji and Abdullah J. Dabo, how many other people were detained and sitting there in the guard room? How many other people were detained there?
This was more than 10.
You told us that Sana ordered that some of them be released. After that, how many people remained there?
Still more than 10. Still more than 10. But Sana made the release based on like whom I know. Maybe I don't like, that's the way I'm going to say it.
So there were a number of detainees, including Mafuji Sonko and Abdullah J. Dabo. Did anything happen to them at that time?
They were being beaten, some butt struck. I personally butt struck and slapped one Jammeh. I can't remember the first name. He's no more in the army. Something Jammeh. I remember the surname Jammeh. He's black, tall, slim.
Do you remember his rank at the time?
No, Council.
Does the name Buba Jammeh sound correct to you?
Something like that.
You said you butt struck him and you slapped him.
Slapped him.
Why? Why did you do that?
Yeah, I was seized, which I regret up to today. I was seized by the situation at that time, and looking at my age, I was 21 years old, and 3 years, 7 months in the army. You know, it was all about Satan, because yes, it was all Satan. You do things unintentionally. You do things that sometimes you are not even asked to do, because I was not asked to beat. So, which I regret, and as a result, I still regret it, and I don't think such things will ever happen again, as far as I am concerned. Like I said, I was seized by the situation. It's just anxiety to do certain things which you are not ordered to do. At the time, looking my age, 21 years old, and 3 years, 7 months in the service. I did it, but I don't even know why, because I was not ordered to do it, to be honest with you.
Precisely. The reason why I find this perplexing is earlier this morning, when we talked about the incident at Mile 2 Central Prison, you told us that you wouldn't have kicked or hit any of those detainees because that's not the kind of person you were. Yet, fast forward to November, literally 2 months after, here you are, kicking and butt-strucking another soldier. How do you explain that?
Actually, Council, like the situation at Mile 2 was, or is different from the one at Yundum Barracks. Like I said, the one at Mile 2, these were senior officers, which definitely are far older than me, and like I said, my consent did not allow me to do it, to lay hand on them, which I didn't. But the situation, for the situation at Yundum, like I said, this is like, it is something that comes to me, which I can't just tell. If there is anything like laying hand on someone, I think that was the one that I did, as far as I can remember, as far as my knowledge can serve me well. He was the only person that I laid hand on to say I strike at him at the time. It is just something that I wouldn't tell you right now why, but that was what has happened in this case.
At the time, you were a private soldier. Buba Jammeh was a lieutenant, so he was a senior officer.
No, okay. No, this is not the Buba Jammeh. This is not the lieutenant. This one is not an officer. The one I'm talking about is not an officer.
What was he?
Yeah,
what was
I
his
think
rank?
this one is black. I met with him not a couple of years ago, around the Observer Johnson. This guy is a slim black. This Buba Jame is an officer. You know, you can differentiate officers and men. You see.
I would expect that you can do that.
I don't know Buba Jame much because I think Buba Jame was from the Zandam, and I think if my memory can serve me well, I came to know I recognize Buba because of the color, he's fair in complexion. That's how I was able to know that this is, if I'm not forgetting, how I came to know that this is Buba Jame. But this guy that I'm talking about is not an officer. I think that time he was not even a lance corporal.
But Mr. Njai, I don't want us to be sidetracked here. Both instances were referring to people who were detained. And you said in one instance, it wasn't your conscience didn't allow you to hit or kick any of those detainees. But in another instance, again, we're referring to detainees, you kicked and hit and slapped, rather, one of the detainees.
I didn't kick. I slapped and butt struck.
That's what I'm trying to understand. Can you explain that? You told us on the one hand, that's not the kind of person you are, so you wouldn't have done that at Mile 2. But here we are at Yundum Barracks, and you're doing exactly what you've said you wouldn't have done.
Yeah. Like I said, Council, the incident at Mile 2, I said these are senior officers that when I realized that these are senior officers in here, my consent does not allow me to do anything to them. Okay, I didn't lay hand to anyone apart from the order that was given by Sana Sabali that we should move them out from their cells to confinement number 1, which I did. But the one at Yundum, like I said, this is Satan. It is something that, because I was just standing and then all of a sudden, you know, butt struck him and then strike at him, slap at him. So, which was not based on orders. Like I said, sometimes you may not want to do something, but unintentionally you just react and do it without even knowing why you did it. So that's why I said this is something which I did, and I definitely regret it to the extent that, you know, I don't know even how to express myself as far as that action was concerned.
So, according to you, you unintentionally butt struck, kicked, and slapped this Jame.
Butt struck and slapped. I didn't kick at him.
Well, your statement says the soldiers began to butt struck, slap, and kick the remaining detainees. Then you said, I personally butt struck one soldier by the name of Jame, and I slapped him. My question is, if you did that, in your words, unintentionally, what is to say that you didn't do that to more people apart from Mr. Jame?
No, Council. As far as my knowledge, my memory can serve me.
But your statement is that the other soldiers did it to the other detainees.
The other soldiers?
The other soldiers butt struck, slapped, and kicked the other detainees.
Exactly.
But your testimony is you only touched one person.
I only slapped and butt struck one person, yes, ma'am. Because I was not there alone, so I wouldn't take the discretion of you know, beating or slapping everyone, because I was not there alone. So like the isolated case or incident which the action which I did was what I have said. So, you know, because who am I to be responsible of everything as to, you know, with regards to beating or whatever. But I know the guy that I laid hand on was this Jame Sonim, which I have said.
Mr. Njai, it really sounds like you're trying to minimize your role because there were more than 10 people, 10 detainees, and you've told us that you only slapped one detainee and butt struck him. That's your testimony. You only touched one person.
Exactly, Council.
Very well. We'll move on. What else happened that night?
Then, when that happened, they were asked by Sana Sabali to return them, by the TRRC to return them back to the cells. Then we came out just opposite the guard room. Like when you stand at the RSM's office, giving your back to the RSM's office and facing the guard room. That was where we were standing. After a couple of minutes, I heard that Basiru Barrow has been arrested at the gate whilst we were standing.
You were standing at the guard room at the time.
Council.
How far is the guard room from the gate?
From the guard room to, because if you know Yundum Barracks now, where it is written the home of infantry, from there to the guard room, it's almost about 300 meters or more. The home of infantry, where it is written, that gate, to the guard room right inside the barracks, I think it's more than 300 meters.
So
I cannot specifically, estimate the distance, but I think it's more than 300 meters.
So Basiru Barrow, you heard that Basiru Barrow was arrested?
Arrested there, yeah, yes, Council.
What happened? Tell us what happened.
Then we were, because this was at night, and when I heard of it, I still remain where, because Sana was right, because now that I was like I said in my previous statement, I said that day I was on duty, so I still remain a close protection to Sana. So wherever Sana moves is where I move. But when I heard this, because it was said clearly, you can hear it from people, from soldiers, then Sana was standing whilst Edward was also standing beside him at the guard room, just outside the guard room. So we were there, but we heard that this guy is arrested there, and soldiers were coming with him. Until when they entered the second gate leading inside Yundum Barracks, where the sentry, the Sangha is, when they enter past, you can see the dark color of soldiers crowded on him, on Basiru, coming. Until when they were in line with the armory, Yundum Armory right now. Then I moved from where I was to go and see this man, Basiru. I went behind the crowd to see him. But the time it was just out of curiosity because I went to see him. But when I just do like this, I heard him saying, "You are killing me," And then I came back and stood where, because.
What was happening to him at that time?
Council?
What was happening to him at that time?
He was being beaten. You can see a lot of soldiers, crowded on him, surrounding him, kicking, butt striking. You can see, because it was difficult to identify who and who and who, but you can see a group of soldiers crowded on him, beating at him, while he was being rolling, coming.
I'm sure you could recognize at least one or more of the soldiers. Can you tell us who was beating him?
No, I could not make that recognition to say this was but because it was difficult to recognize because the place was dark. But I remember seeing a lot of soldiers who were crowded on this man, and then it's like they were doing anything to him while the man was rolling. So, out of curiosity, I just went. But as soon as I reached, I heard his voice. He said, "You are killing me," in a very low tune. Then I felt sorry. I went back to where Sana was standing, and then remained there.
So your testimony is that soldiers crowded Lieutenant Basiru Barrow, were beating him, kicking him, butt-strucking him. You went to look out of curiosity.
Exactly.
Out of curiosity.
Out of curiosity.
And then you...
Because when the crowd was coming, you know, I just want to, like, yeah, out of curiosity, just to go and... But I didn't even see Basiru with my eyes. I heard of the voice in a low tune. You know, the way he speaks tells you that he is definitely suffering. So I just extract myself and went back.
So your testimony is you went all the way there, but you did not do anything.
I swear to God. I swear by this Quran. I will continue to swear as long as things that I didn't do are being asked for me. I will continue to swear because whatever I did, as far as the TRRC is concerned, I will say it because I know at the end of the day it's the truth that will prevail. In as much as I'm running away from the truth, it is not possible. I will never say anything which is not true to the TRRC. Because if I should tell lies before the TRRC Commission will not be happy with me, and the whole world will not be happy with me, and the family of those affected soldiers will not be happy of me because I am telling lies. So I will never stood here and start defending myself. Who am I? If I did anything wrong at that time, I was going to say it because I never think of a day like this will come. Now that a day like this has come and I am being called, I think when I was called at the TRRC here, I responded the very day that I was asked to come and report. And I remain to be constant with my testimony from that time up to date. Whatever I do, because when I met with Council Fall, what he told me was that here we are not here to joke. All what we want to hear from you is the truth. It is difficult to do certain things, and today, not expecting it, you admit it is definitely difficult, which we understood. But what we want to hear is you tell the truth as far as the actions that you did are concerned. I responded. As far as the actions that I did are concerned, I will tell the truth and nothing but the truth. Because if I should tell lies to you, you will not be happy with me. The whole world will not be happy with me. My family will not be, I will not be happy of myself. So there is no way that I will always hide. Why should I hide? Those who came here and tell the truth are not better than me. So why not? Why shouldn't I come and tell the truth? There is no way that I will try to extract myself from the truth. I swear to the Holy Quran. And if what I am saying is lie, let this Quran strike me to death. I swear. There is nothing that I will say here which is not the truth.
So, Mr. Njai,
Council.
If you lie to the Commission, not only will the Commission not be happy, but I have explained to you that there are consequences for lying to the Commission.
Exactly, Council.
So it's not just about being unhappy. It's about criminal consequences. You understand that?
Yes, Council.
So let's move on, because we still have a lot to cover. Basiru Barrow, from what you've explained, was beaten by a number of soldiers. Can you describe his condition after that?
Like I said, when I just make that curiosity move and then came back to where I was standing, what has escaped my mind, okay, you mean his condition? Yeah, he was in a bad condition. He was in a bad condition because he could not speak. He could not speak properly. He could not speak normal speech, the way of speaking. He was very tired and he was unconscious. He was unconscious, very, very tired, and he suffered a lot.
Can you name any of the individuals who tortured Basiru Barrow?
Like I said, Council, this was an action which happens at night, and the place was dark. To be honest, where I was standing and where Basiru was being moved was a bit far, and I did not make any attempt to go there to see what was happening until when they were at where they were, out of curiosity, like I said, just to go and glance at him. But when I just approached, I heard of the voice, you know, motionless. Nobody asked me to go there. I did it out of nothing.
The evidence that we have is that it was the orderlies that were beating and torturing Basiru Barrow. Okay,
Council, you know, when we arrived at Yundum, there was this way of thing, there was a kind of scatteredness. People, orderlies were scattered, because I remember seeing around me, where I was still providing close protection to Sana, I remember seeing Edward Singate alone amongst the council members.
I want to focus on what happened to Basiru Barrow, because then I want to ask you about Dotfal, and then I want to move on. So when it comes regarding Basiru Barrow, were the orderlies the ones torturing Basiru Barrow, as far as you know?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Council. When we entered, like, everybody scattered, including the orderly. The orderly scattered, because we met some soldiers in the barracks there at Yundum camp. We met some soldiers. We were not the only ones who were there operating, but we met soldiers in the camp, because there were soldiers in the camp before our coming. So, but when we entered the camp, virtually all the soldiers, orderlies were nowhere to be seen. They were not specific, gathered at a particular place where you can easily identify them to say these are the only. They were scattered. So wherever they may be, I don't know. And whoever was doing something somewhere, I don't know. I don't see them. But I remember still maintaining my position as a close protection right behind Sana Sabali. And I remember seeing Edward alone. Because in fact, Edward's orderlies, I didn't even see them. So it's like everybody was scattered. Everybody was scattered. So it would have been difficult to know or to say whether it was the orderlies who beat or not. Like I said, from where Basiru was being moved to come, I was very far from him. So I wouldn't know exactly who was beating at him, whether the orderlies, but I know that it was not only the orderlies who were there. You have soldiers equally who were also in the scene.
So your testimony is that as an orderly, you stood next to Sana Sabali. So you did not participate in the torture.
In the torture.
However, the other orderlies were scattered around and they could have participated in the torture. That's your testimony, right?
Council.
Okay. So let's move on. After Basiru Barrow, what happened to him after they beat him?
Council, after him being beaten up to that point, what has kept my mind was where he was finally taken. Because that one, you know, honestly speaking, has just vanished from my memory. I could not tell, but I presume he was being taken to the guard room.
Apart from Basiru Barrow, was anyone else apprehended that night?
Council, after when Basiru was being moved or was being beaten up to where I went to see him, after a couple of minutes later, it was said that, or I heard that Dotfal also was arrested at the same place. Then what was done to Barrow was the same thing that they were doing to Dotfal.
What do you mean by that?
Beating at him, kicking at him, butt-striking him, you know, until him also, Dotfal, came up to where Basiru was. But for Dotfal, I didn't go there because, like, it was the same thing that was done to Basiru. So I didn't go to Dotfal. I remained where I was.
You told us that as a result of the torture that was meted out to Basiru Barrow, he was unconscious. What about Dotfal?
Too was also unconscious.
Do you know what happened to Dotfal after that?
That's what has, from the point that they lasted, I last to see them, I presume they were taken to the cells.
What happened next?
Then we were there standing after those two incidents while the detainees were in this guard room. Then I heard Singate, because I was right behind Sabali. Singate was on the right side of...
Which Singate?
Edward Singate. Edward was right beside, around the right side of Sana, while I was standing behind Sana. I heard Singate suggesting to Sana, sorry, after when we were standing there for a couple of minutes, then the truck, there was one truck, you know, it's a military truck, was asked to reverse towards the guard room. Then it reversed up to very close to the guard room, then make a stop. Then the detainees inside the cells were asked to come out. Then they came out and bought the truck. Then the tarpaulin of the truck was brought down and strapped all over. Then while they were there, we still stand at where we were, watching the detainees coming in, entering the truck.
During that time, did you hear any conversation between Lieutenant Basiru Barrow and members of the council?
Basiru Barrow Council?
And members of the council.
During that time?
Yes, during that entire incident.
No, Council.
Do you know if members of the council spoke to Dotfal during that incident?
Because Dotfal was unconscious. I don't think that time Dotfal will be able to speak at that time. Because Dotfal was seriously beaten. He was mercilessly beaten. So I don't think Dotfal would have been a person to speak to the council. I am not aware, Council.
What about at the time of arrest?
Council?
You told us that they were unconscious, that is after they beat them. What about at the time that they were arrested? Did any of the council members speak to either Lieutenant Basiru Barrow or Lieutenant Dotfal?
Like I said, you know, these two people were arrested far from where I was standing. If you know the guard room and where it is written, the home of infantry, it's more than 300 meters. I didn't go there to see how they were arrested and who arrested them. But I heard that they were arrested from where I was, within the guard room area. So, but how and who arrested them was what I don't know. Yes.
Your testimony is that you were standing next to Sana Sabali as well as Edward Singate. But we have heard testimony that they were arrested by Edward Singate and some other men.
It could be. But I remember standing behind Sana when Edward was on the right side of Sana.
Mr. Njai, Edward Singate couldn't have been in two places at the same time. Either he was standing next to you and Sana Sabali, or he was at the point where Basiru Barrow and Dotfal were arrested. It can't be both.
It's possible, Council, that you could, like, this is a long time, and then it is difficult sometimes to recollect as to exactly. But it's possible that Edward, I don't know. I don't know. But I remember Sana, Edward standing with Sana. Whether Edward did this action and came back and then met us there, that's what, but I remember seeing Edward with Sana.
But it would not be in your interest to say that you were with Edward Singate at the time that those two individuals were arrested, because that would mean you were in a position to actually participate in the torture. Isn't that correct?
Meaning I was with Edward Singate.
You wouldn't want to be in the same place as Edward Singate and other people who arrested Lieutenant Basiru Barrow and Lieutenant Dotfal, because that would mean that you participated in their torture.
No, I didn't participate in their torture. No, I didn't participate. Like I said, I remained where I was, and all what I saw at that time was to be a close protection to Sana Sabali. So normally, I don't leave my place of duty to go and do other things.
But your testimony is that the other orderlies left and were around in various locations within the camp.
That's what I said, Consul. Like when we entered the camp.
That's very interesting, isn't it?
Sorry?
That's very interesting.
You know, like these incidents happen, and it is you, you know, who will say the truth and say exactly what you did. But as far as I am concerned, I know the role that I played or what I did at the time.
Answer the question. Were you with the other orderlies were around in the camp, but you chose to stay with Sana Sabali? That is your testimony.
No, like I said, I always remain, once I am on duty, I always remain to be. There are instances where I can move without the consent of Sana, like move, leave him and go to somewhere. But that day does not happen. As far as my memory can serve me well, I was right from the guard room. He just came out, and we were standing just opposite the guard room, giving our bag to the RSM's office. We were standing there. While we were standing, I heard of this man being arrested. After a couple of minutes, Dotfal also was arrested. But I didn't move from where I was to go there.
Apart from the time that you moved, because you were curious to see what was happening to Lieutenant Basiru Barrow, your testimony is that you stayed with Sana Sabali throughout. Is that correct?
Correct, Counsel.
But other orderlies who are in your similar position are the ones who moved around and could have participated in the torture.
Because
correct?
when we entered the camp, I didn't see Yankuba Toure, I didn't see Sadi Buhaidara at that time, but I fully remember seeing Edward Singate. And the reason why I remember was when the truck was asked to reverse, and these detainees were asked to board, then it was Edward who suggested to Sana, when these detainees were already, when they already bought the truck, it was Edward who suggested to Sana that why not he allow him, Edward, why not Sana allow him to launch a grenade in the truck so that these detainees will die once and for all. I was right behind Edward, hearing him suggesting that to Sana. Sana said, no, don't he remain where he was. And then after some time, couple of minutes later, he suggested to Sana again that why can't you still permit me or allow me to take them to one of the arms store there. You know, the armory is just opposite. Why can't he allow him Sana, allow him to take those detainees in one of the stores and blow them there? He still suggested to Sana. Sana said, no, we are going to take them to mile 2. So, sorry. When he suggested, the initial suggestion of launching the grenade in the truck, Sana said no. So Singate attempted to remove the grenade from his pouches to launch it. So when he attempted to do that, I ran myself. I ran away. Then I saw Sana grab him from behind. Then they started, you know, scuffling. I just take cover from behind the flowers and then watch until I was sure that there was nothing happening. Then I came out. But I saw Sana holding Singate from behind, and they start scuffling. You know, after some time, then Singate relaxed. I came back and stood. So the second one was the one that Singate suggested again to Sana, that why can't you allow me to take them inside one of the arms store and blow them there? He said, then that was the time Sana suggested to him that no, we will take them to mile 2.
So your testimony is that Edward Singate wanted to throw a grenade to blow up the detainees. I hope that you will be just as forthcoming when it comes to talking about your own role and participation during that incident.
Sorry, Counsel.
I hope that you will be just as forthcoming when it comes to talking about your own role during that incident. I want us to move on to Fajara Barracks.
I can't get you, Counsel.
I said, when it comes to talking about what other people did, you seem to be very forthcoming. So I hope that you are just as open about talking about your own role during that event.
Yes, Counsel.
So I noticed that we have a little bit of time left. Madam Chairman, with your permission, I suggest that we perhaps take about 10 minutes additionally to just talk about what happened at Fajara Barracks, and then we can take the lunch break if that's fine with you.
It is fine, but I need to know, are we continuing with this witness today till the end of the day?
We will come back with this witness after lunch, maybe for about half an hour or so.
Okay.
Or even, depending on how it goes.
Okay, then.
But we will come back with the witness after lunch.
Okay. Okay, then, thank you. You have the 10 minutes.
Thank you very much. So, Mr. Njai, can we move on to what happened after the events at Yundum Barracks? Where did you go next? After Yundum Barracks?
After Yundum Barracks, when these suggestions were made by Singate, Sana insisted, and then we were there. After some time, we bought the vehicles to Fajara.
Do you recall around what time you arrived at Fajara Barracks?
This was approximately after 1 to 2, thing like that.
In the morning?
In the morning.
Can you tell us what happened when you arrived at Fajara Barracks?
When we departed from Yundum, we took the normal route from Yundum, Latikunda, Westfield, then branch through Kairaba Avenue, Sabina Junction, took right, then to Newtown Highway, up to the tap at Newtown Highway, the only tap at Newtown Highway when going towards Observer on the left. That's where we branch, leading to the back gate of Fajara Barracks.
Tell us what happened when you arrived at Fajara Barracks.
Then, when we branch from the left, went straight, just in the general area of the Bakau Primary, Bakau football field. Then the vehicle stopped. Then we alighted. Then we started moving from there. When we move up to the first junction before the gate, the main gate, the back gate, there is a junction, first junction you have before the gate. There is a security light. That junction, you know, the right side of that compound, there is a sub. So this security light was on. Then when we were exposed under that light, it's like I just raised my head up and saw a soldier who was on top of the fence. I think this soldier was serving as an OP, an observation post. Then the moment he saw us, and then I was still looking at him, I saw him coming down faster, and then he left. We enter. Then when we enter in the camp, the first line story buildings in Fajara Barracks from the back gate. You have the first story building. We pass, take the middle of it between that first story building, the second story building. That road is where we took. As soon as we bend right, then Almamo started shooting in the air. Almamo Mane put a rifle here on his shoulder and started shooting, sporadically. Then I was confused because, it has caught me by surprise. And because I was confused, I don't know, when he started shooting, almost everybody started shooting. So, but because I was confused, I don't know what he was doing, because you can't be moving on your objective and you have not seen your objective and you want to shoot. So, which was a big surprise to me. So as a result, I stayed back. In fact, I took cover. I entered in one of the toilets there. So, because the situation was so confusing when I heard of the gunshot. He started shooting and everybody eventually started shooting, and the whole place was noisy. So, as a matter of that, I said to myself, no, this is not the way it should be. Just this kind of way it's shooting. So I entered the toilet, but when I entered the toilet, well, it's just within minutes, then something came in my mind to say, where you are hiding now, it's not safe. Somebody can find you there and you may be killed unknowingly by an individual. Then I came out straight. When that thought came to my mind, I just came out and then start running to follow them.
So if I understood correctly, you left Sana Sabali and you went and hid somewhere for a few minutes and then you came out. Mm-hmm. Okay, continue. Continue.
Okay. Then after when that came to my mind, and then I just came out from from where I was hiding and ran after them. Then we continue. Then when we move up to the opening from the residential areas towards the administrative area, from the from the football field going round to bandstand to the main gate, then we received that opening. We received gunshots from that direction.
What happened next?
Then we started shooting at each other. They were shooting, and they were shooting with support weapon, machine guns, AK-47 at us, and we also started returning fire to them.
At that time, were you shooting as well?
At that time, I was shooting. I was shooting, and we were running, as we were about to enter that open space. There is a drainage, a waterway within Fajara Barracks. If you are conversant with Fajara Barracks, that is still there. Those drainage are still there, just around the toilet. These are white drainage like this. So when we were running, because the place was dark, because I was not used to Fajara Barracks, I suddenly entered in one of those drainage. I just entered there. Then this hand slapped on top of the slab. Then my rifle also slapped on my hand, strike on my hand. Then I get up and start moving. Then after the opening there, just in line with the football field, is where we hold the ground. Then started returning fire. The firing did not last for 30 minutes. Then it died down. So I didn't realize what has happened to my hand. We still keep on moving until when we were in line with the bandstand right now. Then Sana, I heard Sana, I was still behind Sana, I heard Sana shouting out, "Cease fire, cease fire." Then we all ceased fire. Then started moving on silence, fire and maneuver until we passed the guard room, then in line with the fence of the main gate facing the seaside. Then that was where we lie down and hold the ground until the early hours of the morning.
What happened in the early hours of the morning?
And in the early hours of the morning, we stood up because that time you hardly recognized who was on your left or neither on your right. Until that early hours of that morning, then we stood up, just look to my right. I recognized Babukar Jata, the former army commander. He said, Njai, on the whole, you are also here. Yes, good morning. I said, yes, he said, I complimented by saying, good morning, sir. So we moved from where we were, our positions, towards the guard room area.
What happened then?
Then, from there, I remember whilst we were at the guard room area, I saw a truck. I can't remember where the truck came, but this truck came from outside. This Bedford truck was carrying those who were asked to board the truck in Yundum. That same truck came, then was parked opposite the guard room. Then Sana Sabali asked the soldiers to alight them from the truck to the field. Whilst they were coming down, they were in single file, following each other to the field.
Around what time of the morning was this?
This was early hours of the morning. This was around after 6 towards 7.
So it was a little bright by then?
A little bright, Council.
I'll stop it there, Mr. Njai, and we can continue after the break. Madam Chairperson, I have concluded for now, and we can resume after the lunch break. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. You have the permission to go ahead. We will take a 1-hour break and come here at what time is it now? It is 1:40. We'll get here at 2:40. 2:40, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, witness.